All right. Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise, honor, and glory to YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of great millstone that taught us this truth. And salutations to the hopeful elect that's around the four corners of the globe. And the elect begins with the 144,000. YAHAWAH, who the world ignorantly calls God and Jehovah. BAHASHAM is in the name. YAHAWASHI, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. The Rakakwadash, the Holy Spirit. I'm the brother Iwalumia with the GMS Chicago camp out here in Chicago. Come back at you, brothers and sisters, at a household of faith of the Hope for Right Select with another lesson. And Lord willing, I hope this lesson be edifying through the spirit and power of YAHAWASHI. Once again, I hope this lesson is edifying. I'm just simply entitled this lesson. It's a gift and a blessing to have this truth, which is this knowledge, wisdom, understanding, man. Hey, the ability to go into these scriptures, to break down these scriptures, man, to get the hidden meaning of these scriptures, man, to understand the names, YAHAWASHI, man, to call upon the names, man, So it's truly a blessing and a gift to have this truth, man. Because if you look at the state of our people, man, hey, they're blinded. What does Revelations, the 11th chapter say? Ultimately our people, being spiritually dead here in this great city called, which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt. Got tongue twisted right there. But ultimately, it's a blessing for us to have this truth, man. Because even in the scriptures, it says what? Ultimately, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free, man. But ultimately, let's just jump straight into it. This is the book of 2 Corinthians 4:7. It says, but we have this treasure in earthen vessels, that the excellency of the power may be of Yahawah and not of us, right? We have this truth in earthen vessels, meaning what? We have this truth in this corrupted, vile flesh, man. The Lord gave us this truth, man. Because a few years ago, I had entitled a lesson, maybe had to been like a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, out of billions of Israelites, the Lord chose you, to ultimately what? To, be gifted this knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and ultimately to teach this truth, man. And it's a very beautiful thing, because out of billions of Israelites, man, only a select few, of us really have this truth, man. Even the ones that, that calling themselves Israelites, man, So it's really a blessing to have this truth. So let me read this again. This is the book of 2 Corinthians 4:7. It says, but we have this treasure in earthen vessels, that the excellency of the power may be of Yahawah and not of us, right? Because we didn't choose to give ourselves this truth, man. We didn't wake up one day and, ultimately start teaching, man. It was a gift from YAHAWASHI, man. We ultimately what? Whatever our lot was, some brothers been in it 15 years, our elders and apostles case been in what? 30 years, 30 plus years, man. Whatever time frame the Lord, got us woken up, man. We received these, this truth, in different times, man. And it's a very, very beautiful thing, man, because ultimately this truth leads to what? Salvation. Let's actually grab this, because I quoted it. I might as well just grab it. Let me see. Yep. This is the book of John 8:32. It says, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Right, and this truth has set us free, man. Knowing who we are, knowing what names to call on, knowing what's, the acceptable will, what, as acceptable of YAHAWASHI, what's not acceptable, man. And we all understand this about ultimately what the Lord waking us up to this truth, man. And it's ultimately made us free, man, because we was bound down by these different strongholds, whether it be Christianity, whether it was Islam, whether it was being, whatever, things that we were a part of, prior to coming into this truth, man. But the rest of our people are still bounded by those different strongholds, man. They haven't been illuminated by this truth, but we were illuminated by this truth. Now we know who we are. We know who our true power is, which is YAHAWASHI, man. And all this comes with what? Being illuminated by this truth, man. Ultimately, 2/3 of our people is ultimately what? It's in that congregation of the dead, man. They don't have no light in them. But for us that has this knowledge, wisdom, understanding, man, we're illuminated, man. But let's continue. This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, better known as Sirach 6:22. It says, for wisdom is according to her name, and she is not manifest unto many. Right, she is not manifest unto many, man. This knowledge, wisdom, understanding, man. Because the majority of the Israelites are blinded and confused, are ultimately out here in the world not knowing what to believe, man. But ultimately the Hope for Right Select, us that have this truth, man, we understand, man. We understand what the will of the Lord is, man. We understand what the Lord ultimately requires of us, man. And that ultimately comes with what? You know, the Lord gifting us with this knowledge, wisdom, understanding, man. And it's a blessing, man. You know, it's a very good thing that, you know, that we have this knowledge, wisdom, understanding, man. You know, because what? The Lord could have chose anybody, but ultimately what? YAHAWASHI chose us to ultimately what? To get this truth and go teach this truth, man. You know? And with this truth, we know how to better, live our lives. We know how to better, operate in this wicked world, man. Something that 2/3 of our people, the wicked of our people can't do, man. You know, because they wasn't given this gift. But let's continue. This is the book of John 3:27. It says, John answered and said, a man can receive nothing except it be given him from heaven. Right. So ultimately, YAHAWASHI have to ultimately give you this knowledge, wisdom, understanding. Because like I mentioned before, we didn't just wake up one day and say, grab the Bible and start understanding with the snap of a finger, man. You know, ultimately what? It's a gift from up on high, man. You know, we didn't ultimately, have it in our mind one day that we're going to start teaching the truth. And ultimately, we became some, expert in the scriptures, man. You know, ultimately what? The Lord, this truth was ultimately given to us, and we were ultimately what? Molded, and we became prophets, we became teachers, and we ultimately started teaching his word, man. You know, and like I said, whatever, a lot of the time frame the Lord woke us up, man. Hey, the Lord, what? Ultimately, is constantly revealing his secrets to his servants, the prophets. That's Amos, I believe it's Amos 3. The Lord doeth nothing but revealeth his secrets to his servants, the prophets, man. You know? So ultimately, this is a gift from YAHAWASHI, man. Because anybody can open up the Bible ultimately and read, but they don't have to understand it behind it like we do, man. So that's a very beautiful thing, man. And ultimately this gift is given from YAHAWASHI. But let's continue. So count yourself blessed, man. This is the book of Romans 11:7. Bring up the whole chapter. This is the book of Romans 11:7. It says, what then? Israel have not attained that which he seeketh for, but the election have obtained it, and the rest were blinded. Right. Blinded to what? This knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, man. Because what's the scripture says, I'm just loosely paraphrasing, ever learning, but not ever, able to come to the, the knowledge of the truth, loosely paraphrasing, if I'm quoting that correctly, if a brother could put it in the comment section. But ultimately, our people is ultimately searching for the truth, but ultimately what? The Lord is ultimately going to give his knowledge, wisdom, understanding to the hopeful elect, man. Read that again. Romans 11:7 says, what then? Israel have not attained that which he seeketh for. What do our people ultimately seek for? The knowledge, wisdom, understanding, the truth. But the election have obtained it, and the rest were blinded. What did the elect ultimately obtain, man? 100% truth, man. It says, according as it is written, Yahweh have given them the spirit of slumber, eyes that they shall not see, and ears that they shall not hear until this day. Meaning what? The understanding, man. So ultimately what? The Lord has blinded, 2/3 of our people from ultimately understanding, this truth, man. And with this understanding, man, with this wisdom, knowledge, understand, we're able to go into prophecy, break down prophecy, man. Be able to tie the things that's going on in the world today with Bible prophecy, man. And that's a gift from YAHAWASHI. Verse 9, it says, and David said, let their table be made a snare, and a trap, and a stumbling block, and a recompense unto them. Right, a stumbling block unto our people, man. So they ain't going to be able to understand it, man. Hey, what do they stumble at? Christianity, Islam, They stumble at the names of the Lord, Ultimately, it's a stumbling block to our people, man. Ultimately, not able to get this knowledge, wisdom, understanding, because the Lord has ultimately, blinded 2/3 of our people. Verse 10, it says, let their eyes be darkened, and that they may not see, and bow down their back always. Right. Ultimately, what? Our people being spiritually blinded, man. To these different things, man. But if you ultimately understand the different prophecies that you can read about throughout the scriptures and ultimately tie them into what's going on today, man, count yourself blessed, man. If you know the names of the Lord, which is YAHAWASHI, count yourself blessed, man. If you know who you are, knowing that you're an Israelite, man, hey, count yourself blessed, man. Because ultimately what? More than 99.99999% of the world, man. Because like I said, anybody can open up the scriptures, but a lot of these people can't understand what we understand, man. And ultimately, it's a gift from YAHAWASHI. Let's grab one more, and we're going to close out. This is the book of Matthew 13:10. It says, and the disciples came and said unto him, why speakest thou unto them in parables? And parables is like a dark saying, man. He answered and said unto them, because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. Right. It's not revealed to 2/3 of our people. It's not revealed into the masses, man. So like I said before, count yourself blessed if you understand these different things, man, because it's not revealed, to the masses of our people, man. So we understand when going into prophecy, we understand these different things, and we can relate them back, to ultimately what's going on in the world today. We could relate them back to Bible prophecy, man. Something that the rest of the world cannot do, man. So count yourself blessed. Hey, it's a gift from YAHAWASHI, YAHAWASHI, man. So just something I was thinking about and wanted to dive into, man. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I want to end up by giving our praise, honor, glory to Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of great millstone that taught us this truth. And salutations to the hopeful elect that's around the four corners of the globe. Lord willing, I hope this lesson was edifying. Until next time, Kwam Yasharallah, Shalom, and Abba Ball. Until next time, Lord willing.